We have Dustin Varnell, who's the principal owner of V2 Subsea, and he will be sharing his story with Suli Koo, who's from Rhode Island Commerce, and she will be moderating the session. Suli, if you want to unmute, I will mute myself and let you take over.
Well, thank you so much, Amy. And thank you, District Hall Providence, as always, for having me on. I'm very excited as a part of my job as Vice President of Business Development at Rhode Island Commerce. We have the pleasure of working with partners like District Hall Providence and Polaris MEP to help companies come into Rhode Island and serve as a concierge, as well as to help entrepreneurs just like Dustin. I was very, Dustin, welcome. I'm
Thank you,
forward
Suli.
to, I believe Mr. Zappa mentioned robotics as a service. So this is a well-placed startup story. V2 Subsea and Dustin Varnell have a unique set of skills and resources to inspect and communicate what's going on underwater using robots. So think autonomous underwater robots, professional media equipment, and the talent to put it all together. So and then you get V2 Subsea. I think I got that right, Dustin? I know there's a lot more behind that. So that's a unique set of skills. Can you tell me a little bit about how you got there?
My background is as a merchant marine and ship's officer in oil and gas, and I got my startup in offshore energy probably about 15 years ago. And I've always had the idea of starting my own company. It's a very good time here in Rhode Island, and we're developing offshore robotic technology. So we're using integrated skills from offshore energy and from our experience with health and safety.
So you've got, can you tell me a little bit about the robots that you use?
Yeah, so one of our main collaborations is working with is underwater robotics with our partner company, Blue Eye Robotics. They use a small cobot, as I think it was being referred to. So you're using an underwater operator to inspect underwater assets such as ship hulls, offshore wind foundations, and you're getting that data to come back to an operator, and it's facilitating the collection of underwater data in a really cost-effective way compared to a traditional sense. Yeah, and it's pretty groundbreaking. There's a real opportunity to kind of improve how we collect underwater data. So we're doing that as a service, and we're doing program development.
So it sounds like you've got, you're solving a problem where traditionally, I think you said before to me, if I wanted to get that information from underwater, I would have it handed to me like in a little thumb drive, or so what do you do? What does V2 Subsea do that's different?
What does V2 Subsea do? V2 Subsea is facilitating the data. So traditionally how you would basically collect underwater data through a large work class ROV, it would cost you thousands and thousands of dollars per day. You'd have to rent a large vessel. You would collect that data. There are some very high-end ways to facilitate that data through media. What's available now and what we're doing is we're bringing this to subject matter experts. So I, as a ship's captain, can take a backpack with a cobot. I can go inspect the thruster of a ship. I can then use a Microsoft Teams meeting to stream it, or I can take that video data and I can bring it up to a media asset storage, and then I can pass it on to a naval architect or somebody like that, so they can quickly approve and make decisions. I think this will be very impactful for the shipping industry. It'll be very impactful for offshore energy.
That sounds like it's a little a lower cost.
Yeah.
So who's your ideal customer?
Our ideal customers are ship owners. They are EPCI, so engineering, procurement, and installation contractors for offshore wind. Search and rescue municipalities like the Coast Guard or firefighters, and anyone who has underwater assets. So, and Suli, do you mind if I share my screen for a little bit? I want to kind of give some insight to a collaboration I started with them. This is kind of newly formed, if that's okay.
100%, go for it.
This is just to try and solve one of the problem states that we have. This is an announcement. This is really first to market. We're telling people about this, but so one of our partner companies, or someone we're collaborating with, who has a cobot underwater operating system, is an engineering firm called Osbit from the UK. They do underwater trenching and development. The problem statement would be, how would you train the US workforce to use underwater trenching in addition to some of the restrictions and barriers to entering the offshore wind market in the U.S. So this company builds this plow in front of you. This is it has a lot of hydraulic components and assembly. It's operated from a container on the deck. It's using integrated automation. I think a lot of the technical people probably understand this. So this would be the control station, right? You can see that you have an operator's chair. You've got some PLC back and forth. There's some video data there that needs to get to the stakeholders in order to be able to see the bottom as we trench our offshore wind sites. So we are developing what we're calling, let me just go back for a second. We're developing what we're calling the Marine Robotics Academy. We're using our skill set in health and safety and operation. So I have a background in this from my offshore experience in oil and gas and being a ship's officer. And one of the main barriers too is health and safety, as I think we alluded to in our last organization, or in the last meeting that was on earlier, is how are we going to safely train people to dredge or dig underwater trenches offshore, especially if they don't have that experience. And that seems to be, as I was hearing, that's the same in factories as it would be for offshore. So we're training the U.S. workforce. We're doing it here in Rhode Island. We've developed a collaboration with them, and we're hoping to bring this to market right here in Newport and help the industry. So I think this kind of gives insight into some of the things that we're doing in addition to our underwater inspection.
So do you imagine a future where people have more skill, that have the skills that you have? Go ahead.
I see in the future that right now for robotics and for, especially in the marine environment, that there is a group of very highly skilled and experienced people conducting service. As these robots and these autonomous vehicles are entered into the market, what you're going to see is you're going to see people who have all skill sets that already exist. Like I said, naval architects, mechanical engineers, scientists, all using these as subject matter experts. So we're vested in bringing those solutions to the market and helping empower people do that, whether it's us doing the inspection, which I've been doing, or whether it's helping Osbit or Blue Eye Robotics develop a solution to make their customers better and safer.
Got it. So I know Amy likes us to ask this question in the startup stories. Where do you see V2 Subsea in 5 to 10 years?
I see us in the north end of Newport, right? We like Newport a lot. We also like Rhode Island because of the space of all the secondary ports that are underutilized. So in Newport, you've got Quonset Point, you are in Rhode Island, you've got Quonset Point, you've got Providence, all these great spots. I think it's going to just rapidly expand, and we're going to develop right there in the new business district. We actually just...
Yeah, go ahead. We should talk. There's a new business district in the north end of Newport that's just been approved.
And there's just a great community there that's really empowered us to start the company, to be honest, like with you and Rhode Island Commerce. And we just started collaborating with a company called Realware. So I just found out today I'm a channel partner for Realware, and Tommy Loughborough from Realware, who's been doing just some amazing work here in Rhode Island. We're getting a space together right in Middletown and working on some really
wonderful.
That's
great announcement. And you took the question right out of my my next question. So I know that I know my son and Amy. Hopefully your daughter do a lot with FIRST Robotics as well here in Rhode Island. I bet a lot of those students will want to go through your Marine Robotics Academy. And I think you answered the question, why Rhode Island, but I'm going to ask it just in case you have anything to add.
I would just say that if you're in the marine space for robotics, Rhode Island's a great place to be. There's a big knowledge hub in Boston. This is a great space with working waterfront, autonomous vessel developers, underwater vehicles. We have defense here. We have a commercial industry that's coming specifically to here. So check it out.
Yeah, and we have resources like Polaris MEP and Naval Undersea Warfare Research Center, the Surface Warfare Officer School, and the Naval Academy. Just within a couple square miles of each other, right?
And I just say to anybody that is going to be looking to work offshore or has any questions especially about, there's some complications for health and safety, and that goes across different industries. And then data collection. So with our media asset management and our skills in video and data collection, there's integration. So give us a call.
Yeah, no, that's a great shout out. My colleague, Will Cotta, who is the director of offshore wind, is here on the line with us. So I know he'll add his LinkedIn and contact information in chat. If you are in the offshore wind industry, and Dustin, I know you and Will have been talking, this is a great place to be in Rhode Island. So Dustin, I wrote 2 sentences to see if I got all of the information that you just covered with us correctly, which is V2 Subsea aims to be a full service robotic company for businesses working underseas. So what that means is, to segue from the last panel, is we can do robotics as a service. So instead of having to buy these robots, you can go to V2 Subsea, they can do it all for you. But as you want to grow that talent inside your own company, you can also do your training academy, and you will also help people procure these robots. Did I get that right?
That's correct. Thank you very much for summarizing that, Suli.
And maintenance too. I know that you have a plan to make sure that these robots get the best and longest life that they can.
Absolutely.
Wonderful. So I think you've definitely painted that future for the audience, and want to know for those watching this video how they might be able to get involved.
I guess how in the Marine Robotics Academy, if you'd like to be involved. So we think, or I think there's a real opportunity to be training our search and rescue people is one thing I see locally. So just to give you an example, we participated with the East Providence Fire Department in a search and recovery not too long ago, and we've done that also with the Somerset, Mass Fire Department. And we think that if you had any questions with that, you could try and give us a call. We can train up the people to help with that. Was that your question, Suli? I'm not sure I fully understood that.
Well, you've talked about getting involved with a couple of different lines of businesses. So one could be training.
Yep.
If they are looking to do undersea robotic visual work, or you are just a company working underwater, should they look for a particular use case, or should they just call you and if they're working underwater?
I think if you're working underwater, you should just give us a call if you think there could be insight into saving time and collecting data. If you want to get into specific use cases, they're really all across the industry in water. So in the supply chain as well, there's a lot of opportunity in the supply chain, because there's a lot of even if you're a manufacturing facility, manufacturing subsea cables or wind turbines, there's a lot to take in. And that's
wonderful.
Yep.
Yeah. So I think, Amy, this question can be answered by getting Dustin's LinkedIn information and information in general up in chat. But how do we sign up for the Maritime Robotics Academy? Do you have a class that's coming up, or are you doing it bespoke?
We're doing it bespoke. We're trying to put a couple times in this summer. So we have actually a person I graduated from Mass Maritime with, and another captain who's a firefighter in Somerset. And we're, for the Blue Eye Robotics course, first either bespoke training for subsea inspection, or like a group of people, we can train you up on Blue Eye Robotics underwater ROV, which is a really fabulous platform. I encourage you to check it out. It's a really good company, and it's really helpful. So
Dustin, maybe while I'm talking, if you don't mind putting some links in the chat, first for yourself and how to get in contact with you. You also mentioned Blue Eye Robotics, which I think folks would probably be interested in seeing what that robot looks like. You just showed us, I think, the Maritime Robotics Academy. Is there a website link for that? That may be cool as well.
No, that's a relatively new. We plan to build that out as a separate business unit, but
okay,
that's under my website at V2 Subsea. So
great,
yeah. So check.
Wonderful.
Put the link up.
Are there any questions from anyone? We'd love to take. I think we have time. Oh, we have time for maybe one question, Amy, and then I'm right at 1 o'clock. Thanks so much for your time, Dustin. I can't wait to see you at a Thursday gathering in the future, where maybe with a backpack and a Blue Eye robot.
Yeah, absolutely. We can do demos on demand if someone wants it.
There you go. I think 225 Dyer is quite close to water, so we should figure out maybe we can do something.
Yeah, thank you for everything, Suli. Thank you for having me on. I really appreciate it.
And thank you so much for the audience here at Venture Cafe, and for the opportunity to talk about robotics, and also to talk about offshore wind. So again, my name is Suli Ku. I also have a colleague, Will Kata, here for offshore wind, and we're always just a phone call away as well. So thanks, everyone. And back to you, Amy.
Thank you, Dustin and Zuli. That was fantastic. I am always super excited to hear from both of you, but especially to hear about these kind of cross sector. We have the offshore wind and the robotics, and it's just so exciting because obviously nobody advances in a silo. That is all we have for today for Robots at Work.